The Chancellor Jeremy Hunt is reported to be preparing to announce a further freeze in fuel duty in his spring budget tomorrow.
The measure comes as support for the Conservative Party falls to its lowest ever recorded, with a vote share of just 20%, according to a poll by Ipsos. Joining us now, the Trade Minister, Greg Hands. I would like to say very good morning to you, Greg Hands, but it's not a very good morning when you see the front page of the Mirror. Conservative support falls to 20%. It's your lowest ever rating, and you trail the Labour Party by 27%. What will the Chancellor do tomorrow to persuade voters to vote for your government?
Well, look, thank you. First of all, obviously, I'd like us to be doing better in the polls, but the polls that really matter are going to be the polls on the 2nd of May in London, the West Midlands. You saw earlier the story about Labour Birmingham Council running it so badly, but we've got the West Midlands Mayor, Andy Street, running things well. We've got Ben Houchin in Teesside, Susan Hall in London. Those are the polls that really matter in the general election later this year. I think in terms of the budget, we'll have to wait and see for tomorrow, but I think we're seeing the economy turning a corner. That's what the Bank of England said recently. After the years of the pandemic, Putin's invasion of Ukraine, the rise in energy prices, the rise in inflation, I think we are seeing economic better times coming up, and I think the budget will reflect that.
Mr. Hands, sorry to interrupt. We're actually in a recession right now.
But look at the recovery that we're making this year and the projection going forward. The projection for the next 5 years or so is the UK economy will outperform Germany, outperform Italy, outperform France, outperform Japan.
OK, so that's a projection. The trouble is that what people vote on is what's been happening up until now and how they feel when they go into the ballot box. And the fact of the matter is people feel poorer. So what will the Chancellor do tomorrow? Because many people will say the only way you're going to get support back is if you give a broad tax cut, and that comes at a cost because you'd have to cut public services to do it.
Well, I disagree with that, Susanna. What we have done effectively as a government has been, over the years, to put more money into public services. There's been real terms increases in public services, including local authorities, by the way, going back to your earlier report. Over the course of this Parliament, we've got record numbers of doctors, record numbers of police officers, record numbers of nurses. So we've increased funding to public services.
Sorry to keep interrupting, Mr. Hands. Under your budget, under your government, police numbers were cut by more than 20,000. So during the years 2010 to 2018, we suffered a massive loss, not just in police officers, but in police staff as well. We have more than 30,000 nursing vacancies. You might have filled some of those gaps, but public services, many would say, have suffered under your government.
Well, I disagree. I disagree. And I think the evidence actually is there. We have record numbers of police officers. We pledged in 2019 to recruit an extra 20,000. We have delivered on that. We have record numbers.
Filled the numbers that you cut.
No, we haven't.
That's all you did.
No, we haven't. There's a record number of police officers. And secondly, on nurses, there's a record number of nurses. Now, obviously, there are vacancies. We want to fill those. But look at what we have delivered so far. Record numbers of nurses, record numbers of doctors, record amount of funding going into the NHS.
Can we get back to the budget tomorrow? I mean, the thing is, your autumn statement did nothing to affect the polls at all, did it? It didn't nudge them in any direction. Nothing happened. He's going to have to do something sensational tomorrow to make any difference in these terrible polls that you're getting. And he hasn't got any room to manoeuvre to do that. So, actually, it's going to be a pretty empty exercise, isn't it?
Well, look, I mean, we won't have long to wait, Richard, if I might. Maybe get me back on Thursday morning to comment on what's actually in the budget. But what we are seeing, there's not my words, the Bank of England's words, the economy is turning a corner. And thanks to the action the government has taken, Rishi Sunak, Jeremy Hunt have taken, after those difficult years where we had to help people get through the pandemic. We had to keep people in employment. We helped pay people's energy bills after Putin's invasion of Ukraine.
You're so far behind in the polls. I mean, as we say, the poll this morning, 27% behind Labour. This is like a football team being 7-0 down with 3 minutes to go. There's just no way that you're going to catch up.
Well, look, we'll have to see. You know, the election won't be till later in the year. We're not particularly focused on the election at the moment. We're focused on helping the economy turn that corner, in the words of the Bank of England. That's what we're focused on at the moment.
And I bet you're focused on what you'll be doing next in terms of leaving politics, because so many of you, judging by the polls, are going to lose your seats. You'll be down to about 65 seats on the basis of the latest poll over the weekend. 65.
Well, look, we'll have to see the real polls that will matter later in the year. What we are focused on at the moment as a government is delivering for the British people, helping nurture that economic recovery. Having turned the corner, we'll continue turning the corner and making sure that we deliver better public services and making sure that some of the benefit gets returned to people in their pockets.
Speaking of running out of time, another defeat in the Lords for your Rwanda plans. You're running out of time there too. That's never going to get off the ground, is it?
Well, I disagree. We'll have to see how the bill comes back from the Lords later. It's not unusual for the government or any government to be defeated in the House of Lords. No. What we do know is that the British people support our plans, voted against by Labour and the Liberal Democrats and the Scottish National Party, to have Rwanda, knowing that illegal migrants to this country face being returned to a safe third country. That is what it's all about, be a major deterrent effect. We've already had some success this year in reducing arrivals on boats by about 35% compared to the year before. We need to go further, and that's what the Rwanda Plan is all about, and this legislation is all about as well.
Almost over, I'm afraid. But one quick question. You were in the chamber last night when Mr Garraway was sworn in to a deafening silence. What do you make of his return to politics?
Well, look, I wasn't in the chamber, but I don't think it's a good thing for the country. For George Garraway to be elected. I've been an MP for most of the last 20 years, and I've seen George Garraway serve 2